If you fall in, what are you going to do? Here are some examples of how to cope. For practice sessions, if the boat has backstays, remove them. This is a controlled simulation of a capsize. Put in place appropriate safety measures. Even good swimmers can drown in cold water, as cold water impairs the ability to swim. You can reduce the risk by staying with your boat and getting as much of your body out of the water as possible. If you capsize, there are 3 key actions you must take. Get free from the boat or out of danger. Get your body out of the water. Get back to the shore or bank as quickly and safely as possible. Remember, the boat is your life raft. Stay with it, unless doing so puts you in greater danger. Not all scullers are confident in the water, and some can be nervous about simulating a capsize. It is a good idea to start your sessions with some confidence drills, followed by a swim test. You could start by having your scullers put their face in the water, followed by sitting on the bottom of the pool, progressing to swimming through each other's legs. Use your imagination to devise your own activities, but remember to keep them simple and progressive. The swim test is there to ensure that scullers can cope in the water. It is not an assessment of swimming ability. It is important to protect the sculler, the boat and the pool from injury or damage by entering the boat correctly. Remember, this is basic watermanship. To enter the boat, the handle end should be butting and held with the waterside hand. The bankside hand is on the rigger. The waterside foot goes onto the thwart. The bankside foot goes onto the stretcher, and the sculler sits down. To get out of the boat, the process is reversed. In order to build confidence and competence, the capsize training is progressive and sequenced. At all stages of the training there are 2 helpers in the pool and a coach on the pool side. One helper must be in the water facing the sculler with direct eye contact and able to converse in a normal speaking voice. Helpers should be fully briefed prior to commencing the capsize training. Their role is to make the sculler feel confident and help if they get into trouble. The capsize itself should always be initiated by the sculler. Capsize takes place well clear of the poolside and in sufficient depth of water to ensure that the sculler will not hit the bottom of the pool. The capsize is always fully controlled and should take place in a pre-agreed direction. The helper, standing by the rigger, moves away from the sculling boat as the capsize is initiated to avoid being hit by either the sculls or the riggers. You may not need to include all of the early stages of the capsize training if you have participants who are very confident in the water. The first stage of the training builds confidence and control during the capsize. It should be conducted without sculls. It may need to be repeated several times for less confident participants. The sculler's hands should be hugging the hull, or, if they are unable to do so, they should hold the mainstay of the riggers near the hull. Stage 2 builds confidence and control when inverted and immersed. This is a repetition of Stage 1, but this time the sculler should tap 3 times on the hull of the boat, while still in contact with the seat. This indicates that they are still calm and in control. Stage 3 is again conducted without sculls. This time, the feet are loosely secured in the shoes. This simulates the experience of the feet being held in the shoes underwater. Although this should never happen, it is important that the scullers experience it in a safe, controlled environment, so that they know what to do. Feet should never be tightly laced in. Once inverted, the sculler taps the hull 3 times, before sliding their hands down the back of their calves to release the heels of the shoes. Stage 4 simulates a full capsize, with sculls and feet in. Start in the safe position. One handle is pulled past the body until the skull is parallel to the side of the boat. Balance is maintained by holding the other handle in the safe position, and with the helper assisting at the rigger if required. The sculler then capsizes the boat in the direction of the parallel skull. Once surfaced, it is crucial to get out of the water as quickly and as safely as possible. You have a number of options. Get on top of the boat. Get on top of another boat. Get into a launch or safety boat. Get back into your own boat. Remember, you must stay with the boat unless doing so puts you in greater danger. It is your life raft. Here are some examples of what you might do, and suggestions for when to consider using them. You may be able to straddle and paddle the upturned boat. This is good for short to medium distance, and gets the sculler mostly out of the water quickly. But it also requires a great deal of effort to move the boat, and it can be difficult to manoeuvre. Another option is to right the boat first, and then straddle and paddle it back to safety. It takes more effort to right the boat, and may not be appropriate in very cold water, but if righted, the boat will move much faster, require less effort, and be easier to manoeuvre than an upturned boat. For both methods, the sculler should be near the middle of the boat for maximum buoyancy and stability. If you are very close to the bank and in easy conditions, you may be able to tow the boat while swimming. This is appropriate when you are unable to get onto the hull, and when it will be quicker to get off the water this way. The sculler hugs the boat, paddles side on, and looks where they are going. Wading with the boat is also an option, but beware of hazards on the bottom. Leaving the boat and swimming to the bank should only be done if staying with the boat puts you in greater danger. If none of these options are viable, you should sit on top of the boat or straddle it, with as much of your body out of the water as possible, and wait to be rescued. If another boat with a solid deck is nearby, the sculler can straddle that boat and be paddled back to the bank. This works well over moderate distances in good conditions, where the other sculler is strong and competent. This is buddy rescue. If self-recovery or buddy rescue is not possible, a throw line may be used. Remember, you should always keep your head above water and always hold on to the boat, unless doing so puts you in greater danger. Let go of the boat for a second and you may lose your life raft. Key actions for adaptive rowers in the event of a capsize are the same as for able-bodied rowers. There may be limitations as to how these actions are performed, depending on impairment and activity limitation of the individual. AR3 and PR3 athletes should look to follow the standard protocol with considerations for the following. Athletes who wear a lower or upper limb prosthesis should ensure that they can free themselves from the foot stretcher and oar or scull handle. Athletes who have visual impairment may become disorientated during a capsize, particularly if they have no light perception. Athletes with a learning disability may have an unpredictable response in the event of a capsize. The following capsize procedure is for PR1 AR1 athletes who use a fixed upright seat with straps and stabilising pontoons. Prior to undertaking the capsize drill, a series of safety checks should be carried out to include: check bow ball to ensure it is secure and no damage to side wall, no damage to hull, hatches and bungs are secure, fixed seat is secured to slide bed, straps are a British Rome approved design, self-closing with Velcro and have no mechanical buckles, which can be dangerous in the event of a capsize. Straps should be secured to the seat frame and all open from the same side with a contrasting colour release tab. Cuts, pressure sores or marking can potentially be serious for athletes, and care should be taken to ensure that all sharp edges, including pins, gates, footplate, are covered in bubble wrap film to ensure that the athlete is adequately protected. For athletes who have a little or no lower limb function, use a footplate with nylon heel cups. A Velcro strap can be used with a simple cord release, as shown. Before athlete transfers from chair to poolside, ensure that the floor is adequately protected with either a wheelchair cushion or foam matting. Assistance may be required with this procedure. Safety checks should again be carried out to ensure that the athlete can secure and release the straps at poolside. A safety knife should form part of a safety rescue kit and be carried by safety boat personnel, which may be needed in the event of a capsize, if the athlete is unable to release the straps. The straps can be cut at the mounting point to the seat frame. For athletes who have a limited hand function and wear gloves to facilitate the oar or scull handle, checks should be carried out to ensure the athlete can release quickly in the event of a capsize. Coach and athlete carrying out the capsize drill should agree a means of signage and an emergency signal for when the boat has capsized. Athlete, coaches and helpers should wear swimming goggles to ensure they can see each other underwater. The first capsize should be carried out without blades and one strap only. If possible, the athlete should attempt to get their body out of the water onto the inverted hull. Note, this may not be possible for many PR1 AR1 athletes. When the athlete is confident, additional straps can be secured and the capsize carried out with blades. If narrow span riggers are used, or the pontoon floats are otherwise closer to the centreline of the boat, this may compromise the stability of the boat, and a larger pontoon may be desired. Here we can see it requires a considerable amount of effort for the athlete to effect a capsize. Some adaptive rowers are at an increased risk of hypothermia. For example, spinal cord injury where individuals are unable to shiver to conserve heat, whereby they quickly assume the temperature of the water in a very short period of time. Safe and expedient removal from the water is essential. The Horseshoe Lifebuoy ring shown here is also an item that is recommended as part of a safety boat rescue kit, Constructed from EPE foam and covered in a strong PVC cover, its design ensures that it flexes and bends to fit around the athlete's torso. This can be used to assist adaptive rowers who are unable to get their trunk out of the water onto the inverted boat.